So next slide, please. In the fourth industrial revolution, there was an explosion of the change in a very strong way. I'm talking about exponential technologies that are characterized because they duplicate their power every 6 or 12 months or 1 year, and the convergence leads to a synergy that leads to more expedite motion. This is a characteristic of the fourth industrial revolution. The management of these technology to generate innovation and changes is supported by the brain-based capabilities.
A big step is that traditionally in all the previous revolutions, linear thought was generic. It was the prototype. It is even said it was genetic. So we came to the fourth industrial revolution, produced by exponential technologies. Now we are exposed to an exponential growth. To make more objective these two different ways of thinking and their implications, now for the fourth industrial revolution. Traditionally, for many years, starting back in the 19th century, there was Mr. Ortiz, your microphone is open. Sorry. Can I continue now? So this model has been traditional in this organizational hierarchy for many years. But look, when now, looking at traditional levels with operating personnel and supervision level, now is in charge of directing when we had the major leadership conflicts. And there's another conflict here, the mid-management in charge of repetitive activities of cognitive character, and somehow the mid-management was broadcasting of the top management to operating levels. This was the traditional hierarchy, and then we turned to intelligent systems and robotics. Well, now look, robotics with intelligent systems will remove any repetitive activity. Back in 2016 at the Davos Economic Forum, there were many studies that were shown from many U.S. universities saying that by the end of this decade, 47 of repetitive activities in the United States were going to be removed. In general, the countries just like China and Mexico, these activities were going to be affected because most labor dependent on repetitive activities from workers. China started to get prepared, but Latin American countries got behind because we were not aware of this concept. And it is a very simple reason. Robots will reduce cost year after year, and for 2025 a robot can be purchased by the wage of 2 or 3 workers, but it will work 3 shifts a day, 365 days a year. That would make very cheap labor, and all these levels will be displaced. With this, also the myth management as a retransmission, but this phenomenon will happen, and only intelligent people creating value would remain. And with this, we will have a new leadership. Then we will have intelligent people with a leader, but this leadership is going to be like a coach, like a coordinator, because many of the employees are intelligent people with more knowledge even than the boss, but the boss coordinates all this knowledge targeted to create value. Another click, please. This is going to be the prototype of intelligent corporations. So we turn from linear corporations to a kind of corporations which are called exponential organizations, where fundamentally intelligent people create value and will have supremacy over this level. And this will change the concept of leadership to start with people leading, mastering new technologies, have a very exponential thought, same as the general director and manager. It means that the general director in this case do not have their specific knowledge, but must master the language of new technologies. This is going to give the character of new exponential or intelligent companies. Another click, please. Look, to stress out this difference and the importance of exponential thinking compared to linear thinking and its implications, I'm going to show this case. Another case, you would have heard that Kodak was a centennial company. It was founded in 1895 into photography. It simplified the original photography processes with very heavy processes, very complex processes, and it started simplifying them. Kodak always bet to analog photography, even that in 1975, Kodak invented and developed the digital image, digital technology, but this was back in 1995, and it had just 0.0 megapixels, so it was a shadow. As any technology at the beginning, it's confused, deceiving, so the top management didn't pay a lot of attention to it, and they bet still for analog picture, and they started inventing new concepts and increasing resolution of cameras with more professional cameras. Another click, please. And what happened in 1997? Sony presented the first digital camera, Navica, with a resolution of 'So what happened? In 1997, Sony presented the famous Marica camera that was acceptable. Of course, non-comparable to analog photography, but it was quite acceptable. It was in 1997. Kodak was not prepared. During the same years after this, digital cameras were still produced and increasingly sophisticated, getting back to the 20th century, where we have more functional cameras, even with 12 megapixels. All smartphones have 12.5 megapixels, which is a very good definition, very competitive with the best of Kodak. So what happened? technology advanced so much with these cameras that they really displaced Kodak, and Kodak fell into bankruptcy. In 2012, it disappeared. But now let's analyze analog photography based on linear thinking and exponential thinking. In Kodak, all managers had a linear thinking because they bet to analog photography. They were thinking 1.0 megapixels. To have good definition, many years will pass by. So they bet to analog photography. They forgot, they didn't want to recognize that technology is exponential, implying that it will double year after year. And we can see that they started with 0 to 8. And if this was contemplated during the first 6 or 12 years, they were thinking many years will pass by, and therefore they bet to analog photography. They didn't recognize, look at this curve. This part is called the knee because based on this, an exponential growth starts. Just in 5 items, it came to 10,240. Look, 5, 6, 7. Only with these 6, they had 32. With this linear thinking, they would say, well, to become competitive, it won't happen. But they forgot about exponential growth, so it increased in 5. They had 10,240 pixels. And look at this growth. This is huge. It overcame analog technology. The 5000 with this camera, their leaders were thinking linearly. If they had thought exponentially, they would have seen it. And they could have seen it faster because they could have taken their digital cameras before Sony, and they would be the leaders of this digital technology. But they got lost because they were thinking in a linear manner. Another click, please. Another one, please. So you can see this is the intersection point, and we usually see this. And a lot of time will pass by. They forgot about the knee in the curve. And look at this example. Back in the 90s, more or less in the critic 90s, AT&T wanted to join mobile telephony. So they went to McKinsey, and they asked for a survey to see whether it was worthwhile to get into the mobile technology. McKinsey sent a report saying it is not really convenient because for 2000, less than 1 million mobile telephones could be placed. That's what McKinsey thought, but they were also thinking in linear terms. In the year 2000, 100 million telephones were already in place. It was an exponential growth. And same as this, many companies that due to thinking in a linear manner, they lost many opportunities. That's the importance of thinking in an exponential manner as a starting point to be able to participate in this fourth revolution. Another click, please. Another one, please. Now, look, in 1996, 1 year before Marca camera, Kodak was still the leader, 140,000 employees with a worth of 98 million. But then there was a crisis for Kodak. In 2012, it was in bankruptcy only with 12 employees. Kodak was because their leaders never thought exponentially. They were thinking as most of the leaders. And that's why many companies failed not to take advantage of these opportunities and not thinking exponentially. As I was saying, exponential technologies advanced, doubling its powerful and processing capabilities every 2 years, 18, 12 months, depending on the technology. On the other hand, cost is reduced 50% in such a way that they progress, but they also reduce their costs. Exponential technologies double their processing levels and they reduce their costs in 12, 18 months. And look at this. This is the reason for which those mainframes in the 60s are widely overcome by the smartphone because their smartphone has more processing capability than the mainframe. The mainframe has more processing capability than the one that you can use to launch the first man of the moon. And that's the nature of exponential progress. So look at this and think like public accountants. You are one. Do you have experienced this analog experience? We are in this period where companies, most of them, need to transform to digitalize. Look at the publicity and go to social network, and there are many programs to make companies digital. And the IBM president for almost 3 years, when she said companies will have to get digital in the next era. And this is explainable because when a company incorporates digital technology, these processes and products and digital platforms immediately become digital, and they are moving at an exponential part offered by technology. Another click, please. Another one. So everything is due to the support of exponential technologies. And this is really important because this makes opportunities to get lost when the leaders of the fourth industrial revolution, managers, are not yet developing their exponential thinking, and they do not know the minimum laws of exponential thinking, and they lose opportunities. Their companies disappear as well. And now, features. When you apply exponential features, is that nature is disruptive. It processes new things and it demonetizes. Let's see how. If it was something difficult thanks to new technologies, now the value is zero. And yes, in the past, we needed a lot of tangible assets, and now exponential technologies provide priority to untangible assets. Another click, please. Another click, please. As I was saying, exponential technologies are disruptive. Let's remember traditional plans and manual work was something important. There was always some manual work. Another click with robotics. Many repetitive activities disappear, and the operating plant disappears practically. Now, Uber with digital platforms caused a disruption of the cab concept. And looking to the future, Uber will transform the fact of owning automobiles and the use of car, because now we have this automatic service. All these concepts are going to be modified. Instead of having these car services are going to be hierarchized. So it's better to share car services, those that are autonomous, and this is going to be the bet. And we are already seeing this in many levels, what they are doing in the car industry. They are getting into the manufacture not only of electrical cars, but automatic and non-manned cars. Also, the hotel industry experienced a big disruption thanks to Airbnb. They don't have any hotels or rooms, and thanks to this digital platform, the company is managing more than 1 million rooms every month to lease them, and it has more rooms to lease than any hotel chain. So look at this exponential technology. When a part comes, disruption is caused. That's why this concept of the fourth industrial revolution, this exponential change takes us. We're going to cause this disruption as Kodak did, or another company is going to cause this disruption, so we disappear. Another click, please. Another feature of exponential technologies is that they are demonetizing. Remember, when we wanted to have our videos, we bought video cameras that was $1,000, and we wanted to have cameras. It was an investment of about 2,000 US dollars in this kind of devices. Another click, please. We had our disco, and we had also long players, and our printed albums. Everything was material, and this cost thanks to this technology, and now costs are simply now talking about smartphones. Remember that there are videos, photography that do with the best resolution back then. We can have our music, photography, and then extend it as we want, and cost is almost zero. We can have 2,000 pictures, but costs are minimum. So this demonetizes these products. Another feature is that they dematerialize. Remember when a bank wanted to extend with branch offices, they needed to extend construction and all what they needed, and those were huge investment, true fixed assets, but now they are immaterial thanks to technologies. Now with digital technologies, ATM machines, many investments have been substituted. And now even 70% of traditional operations can be done online, and we are aware of doing that. And with these, banks will not have to make any big investments. And same with Spotify. Now you can schedule all the music you want, and we can hear to it without having any long play. And the same with this. This is quite interesting. These three concepts of demonetization is leading companies to have more intangible assets than the traditional ones. Now it is not having, but listen what the assets did. That's why the fourth industrial revolution is a world of ideas. At the Silicon Valley, you need a big idea. It is not a matter of having the resources, but a big idea. On the third industrial revolution, if you wanted to have a business, you needed to make an investment. Now, in the fourth industrial revolution, which is highly mind-based, you need to have good ideas. Risk capital is a surplus. Now the idea is a new application, and we have risk capital. They invest because they know that with one of these ideas they can flourish. And we are seeing that, for example, with Instagram in 2010, two youngsters started working. When Kodak was in bankruptcy, Instagram was sold to Google for $1 billion US, an office with 2 employees with no fixed assets. Why? Because now we are experiencing all these, having these by leasing, rentals. We're not experiencing an economy of intangibles. And now, just getting back to these benefits, companies such as Amazon that are highly exponential are completely digitalized companies. For example, the range referring to this number of customers. And they reach the highest level of customers, more than Walmart. Amazon will reach, they have 300 million customers, and they are thinking about this high number of customers. No physical company could come to this number of customers by being physical. Next. Now, tensions regarding the number of services that could be offered. Amazon or companies that are similar that can offer products and services do not have limits like those. They can have 30,000 articles? No. When Amazon was founded in 1993, when Jeff Bezos made a report saying that electronic commerce was increasing 2,300. And he was looking to see what he could sell, and he was thinking about books, because he said companies do not have more than 300,000 books, and I can have all of them with comments, and they buy the book and I will make a deposit at home. And look at all these advantages, providing more value thanks to this online process. So not only it reaches a wider number of customers, but also the number of customers. Look at this. This is really interesting. Something that we need to consider. The fourth industrial revolution, it's a revolution which is embedded in data. Communication means produce content and a huge volume of data. And to get into perspective, all the information produced from the beginning of humanity, all this information is produced every 2 days. So we are really embedded with data. There are some artificial technologies extracting all this information and data in order to learn and ease in the learning process. That's why companies like Amazon have a real knowledge of their customers. They know like their hands. They know preferences, tastes, etc. And they provide a personalized service, and this was not possible with traditional services. Those are the big advantages of those organizations that are backed in digital platforms regarding analog companies. Now let's see all this by being objective. What I have said is highly related to the way of thinking, mindset. Where am I going to place these things? If this is not based on this exponential thinking, then we are in bad condition. Bank of America, even if we didn't have any account with them, this is well known because it was once one of the biggest banks all over the world, and it was founded in 1998. It had 209,000 employees, a fifth of a million, and 67 million customers, lots of customers. Another click, please. In 2011, this company and financial was created to compete with banks, but this was a digital company. 10,000 employees. They reached 700 million customers. Look at this change. It started in 2011. So now, take a look at this. With 710 million customers, just think about this. All the data volume being produced, coming into the financial sector. These 10,000 employees, well, they are in a continuous learning process to provide first-level services. That's why this company is really conquering at huge steps, thanks to its digital character. So take a look at this panorama that we have, all the benefits, big changes that we are experiencing from analog companies and digital. So these leaders can start to think in an exponential manner. Let's see what's the current situation in place to see the future that we are facing. If we appreciate this moment to the future, we can see that knowledge is being increased in an accelerated manner. And remember that we are experiencing a brain economy. People in the company should be in a continuous learning process to apply it. It is not only to learn by learning, but now learning and apply. And for this, we need special capabilities. And as a result of this progress, we also have technology, and those are exponential advances. Can I continue? Technology advances. So look at this second half of this decade, it's going to experience more changes than those that we have had in this century for this exponential character. Another click, please.
Another click. The disruptive innovation. Innovation is the essential factor to create value and compete during the fourth industrial revolution. But there were true disruptions. The speed of change is more accelerated, and the company should respond on time. The competitive advantage happen when we respond in a timely fashion to the change. Another click. Competence will be more and more acute. Connectivity strengthens globalization, but also tears apart borders. This is a very difficult situation. Please multiply this by 10 or 20 in comparison to what is happening, because everything is being duplicated. So the companies, the businesses, and the leaders of companies has to face these mega trends more than responding to have sources of opportunities and apply this in their companies and businesses. So here we had what should we do as entrepreneur leaders to face all these mega trends that we are already experiencing. The first step is to think exponentially different. Critical thought, the way of thinking differently. Well, in the Mexican Institute on Innovation, along with National Center of Business Innovation of the Escuela Superior de Comercio y Administración, we're studying this phenomenon, and we prepared a specialized course to study the capabilities of the fourth industrial revolution. This is what we're precisely seeing, because there are the needs of the new professionals, capabilities and abilities for innovation. I would like to highlight the following. There's not confused technological innovation. It is to do research to create technology for technology to be applied, and innovation to create value. Innovation to create value is using the new technologies, but oriented at the user or client, and to give value and facilitate their lives. This is the kind of innovation that Steve Jobs and Bishop, all those great innovators did, that they focus on the client to give the client a product that adds value. This is what is needed to be developed. Or another click. They should be business strategies. You are familiar with the strategic thought to take advantage of opportunities. This is the capability of the great business strategies. Why Steve Jobs created the iPod, and he had a vision that any record manufacturing industry did not. So iPod, it was the largest discs producer. It is not that we need to be specialized in each one of the technologies, but only to see the nature, the language of the technology that can be applied. But see, all those capabilities combined is what we need for Leaders 4.0, for the Industrial Revolution 4.0. This is very different to the leaders that live in the previous revolutions. It was a linear thought. They did exactly the same things. They handle incremental innovation, incremental changes with a low speed in those changes. The world is different now. New realities require new mindsets. Okay? Next one. So we have two options. Think about the future of the public accountancy, but please, when you think about the future of public accountancy, don't think linearly. I have given courses in the Mexican Institute of Accountants in accountant firms, and I always, at the beginning, I ask, how do you see accountancy at the end of this decade? They always give me linear forecast, like if the same accountancy concept is the same that we will apply in 10 years. What are the needs of the companies that are working? How are the digital companies? And based on that, the demand will be on how I fulfill those needs that will be very different to the ones we have nowadays. So if we think about the same accountancy problem concept, we will be simply observers. Another click is to prepare ourselves to move forward. Another click and become in the main characters of the fourth industrial revolution. Thank you very much.